Seems to me that part of the new, if you like, worldview is somehow related to the idea that uh, you can be an island, that everybody can be so radically individual, so totally in control. Nobody else dare interfere with my autonomy, even to the extent of telling me what sex I am, versus an older model that said that you can't simply worship self. You actually have to recognize that if you matter, so does your neighbour. And that's what's washed out of the system. And everything now seems to be about the pursuit of personal autonomy, which ultimately brings you into clash with everybody else around you if they're into self-autonomy as well, rather than cooperation and recognition. So really what I'm painting is a picture of a world that's detached, in the West, that's detached itself from the well springs of its own spiritual and cultural perspectives, and become obsessed with self in a way that is destroying self, if I can put it that way.
Well, there was a line that I heard you say a few times at ARC that I've repeated several times since, which was that we've forgotten to tell our story. And the story of the West is not just a story of an individual who picked up and created everything. It's that we started creating families and communities and figuring out what we want to do and making sure the government was off our back enough to be able to do it, but that we still did have a government. There were, and that we also had religious institutions. We also had strong secular institutions for a long time. I mean, people think, oh my God, how did this woke thing just appear out of nowhere? Well, it didn't appear out of nowhere. They went through the long march through the institutions. They look at what's going on at Harvard and Columbia and all these universities right now. And it's like, oh, this didn't just spring out of nowhere that they're basically creating Hamas clone students. It's been going on for quite some time. So we forgot to tell how great the story of the West is, that it's not just about you. It's largely about you. Look, the individual is the smallest minority. That's a great Ayn Rand line. But most people are not objectivists, Ayn Rand thinkers. You realize that it starts with you, and then you have to start building up above that. And if we really sell that story, what better story is there than the story of America? The story of this place across the ocean where everyone from literally every corner on Earth has wanted to come, and almost everybody, really with almost no exceptions, when they got here, their life was better, and then their children's life was better, and the grandchildren, et cetera, et cetera. Now that may be shifting now, meaning that it is quite possible that my children's life will not be as broadly successful as mine, because the conditions no longer will match. That is possible. But the dream, the 250-year dream of America, is the most beautiful dream that has almost existed in the human mind. And that we've sort of thrown that away because there were some mistakes along the way, and because the founders had slaves while they were also writing the laws to free the slaves, so we should just burn up the whole thing. But unfortunately, I think it also goes to that generally conservative-leaning people, and I would include classical liberals in this. We're out and about. We're doing things. We're building businesses. We're with our families. We're building communities. The lefties tend to be really focused on the mission. So it's much easier for them to coordinate and destroy when it takes a lot more work to build and do good.